Welcome to the Mindset RX podcast. My name is Tom Foxley and I help functional athletes gain a champ's mindset. Whilst you're listening to this, I'm currently away. I'm on holiday in Montenegro. So I was going to post some previous episodes, and not because I couldn't be asked to record it, but I thought it was a really good chance to kind of give you some gifts from the past. So this is a podcast that I recorded with the legend and unfortunately late Chris Moore. Was one of the most beautiful souls alive, and I can't speak enough kind words about him and the way he personally helped me kind of just fulfill or like take steps towards my potential. And I really hope you enjoy the show because it was one of my favourites to record. So here you go. Here is Mr. Chris Moore.
Pretty good. I got up early, which I try to do all the time now. Got a long hour long walk in, which is my new jam. That's like the priority every day.
Yeah.
And then, like most mornings, like a little slow getting into my work, but I'm just in the middle of a big transition, so that's going to happen.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
What made you start the walk?
Recognition that, I'll tell you a story. I just moved back to Memphis. Well, I didn't actually move. I got rid of all my family shit. We moved from San Diego back here, which is home for me, where I'm from, Memphis, Tennessee. And at one point, I had stopped at the Grand Canyon. My father-in-law drove to stay at my Jeep Wrangler, which is pretty. We stopped off the Grand Canyon, woke up early the next morning, and as I was just there, kind of in the moment, feeling real clear, having seen such a thing, the Grand Canyon kind of wakes you up. In fact, I dangled off the edge of it, so kind of almost, tickled death a little bit, because if you fell, you're fucking totally dead for sure. So in the wake of that, was feeling really clear-headed and got up early for my walk, which I'd already started doing for various reasons, but the perfect reason came to me when I watched an old woman come back from her walk. She had like 80, very determined, very crystal clear. She was very focused. She was coming back from walking around the canyon like at 6 a.m. She was up early, man. I go, oh. You kind of always assume, let's hit me just, kind of always assume that old people don't got nothing better to do, so they just get up and walk around early. Like, they don't have a job, they're running out of time, no one really needs you, so what else you can do? You might as well get up and walk around and see them. But actually, I came to realize that moment that after a long life and after knowing what really matters, what is the first thing you get up and do when you don't have a whole lot of time left, and you need to do what is a matter of urgency, what gives you the most reward in your life, and what a lot of people do is they walk long and hard every day.
Nice.
And one of those people who did that was actually Gandhi, who swore by it. And people like Kierkegaard, the philosopher. And if you just search probably on a quote board online for walking and mind, you probably notice the endless observations and the pattern that people who do great things, people who are clear-headed and present and achieve greatness however they want to do it, the one common element is they walk a lot.
100%.
One of the most popular examples is Steve Jobs used to walk and have meetings. Have meetings. Yeah, because when you walk and move, you kind of give yourself permission to free and have ideas, and nothing feels stuffy and permanent, so everything flows and happens a little easier. Yeah. So I think if you walk, everything else kind of happens.
Exactly. I was having a conversation with my granny yesterday. She's her 99th birthday yesterday, and I said to her, what do you reckon the difference between you and your friends who haven't made it to this age, or your sister? And she said, it's the fact that I was active. Like, the whole time I was active. I was like, that's so good. So good. Like, it's,
you sit, you think. You think easily, emotionally, and spiritually. You just can't do that.
Exactly. Yeah. Like this, I had Kelly Starrett on the podcast. I recorded it on Wednesday. And like, it was just like that thing, just like movement things. I had Brian McKenzie on just before as well. And it's just move. Like, Jesus, there's people.
In this case, also breathe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. 100%.
People don't breathe either. So one thing I didn't say is I breathe before I do the walk.
Yeah.
Because like, if you get up and just use your lungs a little bit, it's just like revving your car engine before you pull it out of the driveway. It's like it just gets the fuel in there.
yeah, definitely. Like, I tell you what, because of what Brian's been saying and because of what Kelly's saying, and then like after like prepping for this interview as well, listening to a few more Barbell Builder podcasts, I was just like, I heard you speaking about breathing more and heard them speaking about breathing. So just before this, I did my first Wim Hof style session.
You noticed it, right?
Like, holy fuck. Like, it's the difference is just a different level.
I would only encourage you in time just to let it become yours. Don't worry about time and I don't even time anymore because I realized, well, you'll get to where you can feel once you get enough air, and if it's 5 breaths, stop there.
Yeah.
You get to where you'll feel the effect, and you'll feel it. You'll want to go deeper sometimes, and you'll want to go shallower other times, and you'll know when you're distracted. If you just don't worry about the time intervals and the number of breaths and shit, just kind of just go with it as a template and start making your own. You'll fucking totally just get lost in it. And then after, I haven't missed a morning of it. I did it for the first time at his seminar. My mom came out to Brian McKenzie's gym, and I was still out in SoCal. And Charlotte and I went up there. Shit, this must have been like October of last year, something like that. And Wim was great, and I was kind of at a point where I was going to go to a lot of stuff, and then we were under a lot of pressure on the show and working fucking forever. So that was like a real, like, oh my God, this breathing like really made me feel quite different. And I remember very quickly thereafter getting really fascinated with the time, and then having shitty results and dropping my worries about the time and just playing with it. And from that point, October to right now, it's like summertime next year, I haven't missed one morning of that shit.
That's amazing. It was really good.
Yes, I mean, it's like that. You find something that's really rooted in wisdom and in truth, you're gonna just do it. You don't have to worry about like adding it to a reminder thing or on your calendar. You just gotta fucking do it.
Yeah, especially
it'll stick with you.
Yeah, you feel the benefit, and you're like, yeah, I'm doing that. It's so good, and you feel how you feel afterwards, and it's
and you're basically meditating.
Yeah,
you're doing what people can't do because usually they're focused on what the idea of meditation is, and if you do that, like if you're focused on how long you're holding your breath, you won't be able to hold your breath long. So you kind of slip into that rooted feeling, that still rooted feeling, and from there, shit just starts occurring to you, like good ideas, things you might do, good feelings, good emotions, calmness. So that's a free thing that anybody could do, and almost no one breathes. Like that's crazy to me. Yeah. And I try to tell your mom too, like, or somebody in your family could use some breathing, and say, hey, just do this, try it. And they just won't believe that they should do that because it's so simple and it's right so under their nose. They just won't accept that that's all they need to live much happier, healthier lives. Yeah. And that's the damnedest thing about it. If you can only put on a pill and charge them $200 a week for it, you can totally do it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the paradox of trying to be a coach, man. It's like the simplest things are the things that change your life.
Fuck like, no, that's the quote of the podcast.
The most elemental, like not even simple, the most elemental and simple things are what change your life. Everything else is just people have convinced themselves that complicated, fancy things are better things. It's usually just because that's just the ego-stroking exercise. Like, simple things work, simple ideas. Breathe, walking from there, go to the gym. You automatically train better. You're automatically stronger. Just because you're happier and healthier.
Yeah. I was looking at a Winston Churchill quote the other day, and it was something along the lines of more complex the problem, more simple the answer. And it's just exactly that thing again. Once you sort the meditation, or the breathing, or something as simple as that, what's the gradient of truth? You get like a little philosophical because sometimes I like to do that. From the most complex thing possible, which I guess is infinitely complex, to the most simple thing possible, which I guess would be just like the number one. Because if you want to get all philosophical, you could burn everything down into a big pile of energy and put it all back to one point, so everything equals one. So if you're going towards complexity or simplicity, the simpler you can make it, the more true it's going to be. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Right, I reckon we should just carry the podcast on from this bit. Now I can't speak. Yeah, I'm happy. If you're happy to include all that, I'll just edit out this bit where I'm rambling on.
No, you do whatever you want. Yeah, where'd you say you were again?
So I'm just outside Cambridge, just south of Cambridge.
Oh, in the UK?
Yeah.
We're going to be over there a lot very soon.
Yeah, I noticed. Was it September?
Yeah, so I'll be in Amsterdam from June to the first of June to September, and then probably in the UK a lot because Charlotte's son. And then there's some tour dates we got with Julia already in the UK, so we're gonna be all through the UK very soon, quite a lot.
Nice. Yeah.
I actually hope to live in the UK a little bit more often here in the fall and winter.
Okay, why's that?
Because Charlotte and I are launching some stuff. I'm spending time in Europe to write a book. I'm gonna do a tour of my own.
Nice.
Like I want to pull off something I think can be done, which is like a combination of like what's really great about going to a seminar.
Yeah, the interaction and the fact that you're there and it's right in front of you.
Yeah, and you can learn a lot.
Yeah.
Knowledge is a thing. You're coming there because over a course of a couple of hours or maybe a couple of days, you presumably are going to take away a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What's the downside of that seminar? Even if it's the best possible person doing it, what's the only
They're going to deliver that set routine, I think, and it's the same to everyone. I'd say.
Yeah. So yeah, it could be a little set. That's a danger. That's what I don't. I want kind of always.
Yeah.
Also, like if you're even if it's like it's like if I gave you a chocolate cake and I had to give you a piece of it, you love that. But if I told you to eat the whole thing, it's like, wow, I don't know if I want all this chocolate cake. Like even if it's Kelly Starrett or your favorite coach, it's like after 2 days, it's like this is a lot of information. I kind of am ready for it to wrap so I can go start trying to do it. Like you get antsy, and the worst of circumstances, you're bored out of your fucking mind. It's like that's the trade-off. And the other end of the spectrum, what's the other end of that kind of thing? It's like if you go to like a rock show or you watch a great show of any kind live, and let's say it's a typical show, then you have a great fucking time for an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3. And you pay less. And you're thrilled. Like you leave like, fuck yeah, man, fuck yeah, woo, great, awesome. I'm gonna do so much great stuff. And you wake up the next morning and maybe kind of most of that was like foggy and you don't even really remember. And it's kind of like when you watch a great movie. You leave with the Avengers, you're like, yeah, I would love to fight. It's like a kid. And the next day, you're not thrilled with the Avengers anymore. It's very transient. It's like a seminar is one thing, and a show is one thing, and they're over here. I kind of started thinking just for my own amusement because I've been fascinated by the idea of like, can I do a live show, like just a microphone, like Henry Rollins style or a spoken word style, like not like a comedian, but like and not like a lecture, but like giving up and just hitting people with my view and entertaining them and teaching. Nice. And like I do on a podcast, just in front of a crowd. But obviously, for a long time, that's a scary idea. Just like turning on a microphone for the first time and podcasting solo for the first time was really scary because here we can bounce around, but it's just you record anything solo for your podcast? Like,
I have. It's like the first thing I did, it like scared the shit out of me. Like 4 minutes of me just going.
Really terrible, right? It was a really terrible experience.
Yeah,
but get it, and you keep doing it. You get a real practice for kind of carving a new pathway for a fear. That's the only way to manage fears because you're conditioned to do the thing opposite to that, which is to not use your voice, to not feel like you have an opinion. And you've done that for X 20, 30 years, whatever it is for some people. And you're really, really good at not using your voice. So when you're asked to do it, you have no repetitions using your voice. Yeah. So it's like the time you snatch. It's like, it should be weird as fuck. It should be scary as fuck. Yes. How does anybody ever get used to that? You got to cut new edition pathways. So you got to do it a couple hundred times probably is enough for this kind of thing. And you get kind of really good at it. Yeah,
definitely. But the amount of personal growth you get from that first one is just like I think I heard you say something about chiseling off or something like that. That's a great analogy. And it's just like that, bam! It's like a whole new chunk is gone, and it's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah, and it's if you go back and listen to them, it's a hell of a way to see how much you've progressed. And it's a great way to get your voice out, of course. And it's a great way to organize because just hearing yourself think on, just laying it all out there, making sure you're doing it in a way that engages people, obviously is super helpful.
Yeah.
It's like you're training, you're shaping your own mind when you do that shit. So.
Exactly. How do you go about training your mind on a regular basis? Is it through meditation or reading, or is there anything else that you find useful?
You basically just do the thing you condition yourself to do the thing you know you should be doing, or the best, highest quality thing, best possible use of your time. You just get better and better at doing what you know you should be doing in that direction, basically. So people are usually really well conditioned to do things of fear or out of the desire to prove themselves, or out of this because they think they should be doing what other people think they should be doing, so they're always thinking about that. So their brain is always trained to think that way, not to think about what's best.
Right, should we carry on? We're talking a bit about mine's gone blank. We're talking about training your mind. Yeah.
Well, so basically, there's only one simple way to do that. Like, so every day, usually what people do is they get up and they let the world get after them. It's like the first things that hit your mind, everything you'd like to do, you get it for yourself, or maybe the rush of having to get to work, or maybe the rush of having to hurry up and get prepared, get things going at home, so they can get out the door and go about your day. People are usually just kind of hurried, and your efforts usually kind of end up being dispersed, and you get kind of rattled. They don't really have any sort of single-minded purpose until you start working through the stages of being a student and learning what you want to do, and figure out, okay, I really want to be a coach or something. And that's a matter of what qualities will make you a good coach. So your ability to communicate, your knowledge, of course. There's all these things you know you can do daily to be able to be a better coach. But how do you actually do it? if you think about having to do it all at once, like somebody hears Kelly on your show or something, I want to be like Kelly. How do you actually be like Kelly? You don't try to get Kelly in this all at once, because that's not a very good thing. People usually put that pressure on themselves. I got to get better, stronger, got to get where I want to get all now. That's not possible because they see where other people are, and they see that they've made progress quickly. Of course, they never see the detail of their journey. They only see like the highlights. This person got here, here, and here, and I got to get somewhere, man, because I don't feel nowhere. That's the basic thing. So there's a rush, but really how you change yourself is just super simple, small, little, humble actions every day. Like you said you'd get up at 6 a.m. instead of 8. Are you doing it or not? Yeah. You said you'd do your breathing, your deep breathing, because you know it sets your mind still. Because you know if you set your mind still at the beginning of the day, then what's most important is going to naturally occur to you. Like you should do the thing you know you said you would do. Like the next step in the breathing might be to read that chapter you know you should be reading. Mm-hmm. Like you're going to need to read a lot of chapters potentially to be a great coach, but if you haven't read any, then reading the first one today is the best way to start. Yeah. So it's a small, humble way of saying, right, if I just do that, then I know, guess what? I know that in time it will be all I need to be. And also gives you the freedom and the grace to be able to make adjustments every day. Like you can read, and pretty soon you get in the habit of reading, but pretty soon you can then adjust and read other things that occur to you should be reading. And another action day will be to be surrounding yourself with people and conditions that would help give rise to the things you'd want to be. Because like the bottom line is you'll be fighting uphill a lot to reshape your mind. Like if you want to be calm and your environment's really hectic, you want to be a great coach and you're not around any great coaches, you want to be a better athlete and no one's around you who knows what it's like to dedicate themselves to being an athlete and who knows what it's like to care about your sport and your craft so much that takes precedent in your life. It's like if you're up against those gradients, it's going to be hard to change because you're going to become the environment. So if you're up early and you're controlling all you can personally control in your living spaces, and the people you engage with are better and they're sharper and they inspire you and they make you think of what you could become, then you're going to naturally day by day grow into that form. So it takes a lot of pressure off. So really the daily small effort to be a little bit better is all it takes to be great.
Yeah.
That's how you reshape. Little efforts build a new momentum.
For me, like my kind of overriding thought process is finding an elegant solution. So, like surprisingly simple, ingenious solution to an apparently complex problem. And it's all about that minimum effective dose and the smallest possible changes you can make to make the largest possible change. Sorry, you paused. You still there?
Yeah, and usually yeah, I'm still
okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a paradox, right? Like I think the most effective people focus, they keep things simple, and then they keep a slow pace. That way, they kind of see everything unfolding. They see just what needs to be done moment to moment. Don't get carried away with much of anything. So if you're slow and you're clear-headed and you're focused and you care what you're doing, you're going to have a good time. Yeah. You're going to drift day by day in the direction you should go in. That's just a guaranteed recipe for success, I'd say.
Yeah, and taking that step back as well, just that perspective, and that's where meditation comes into play, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's just, again, I've been so pleased this year to get finally good understanding. Like I'm back in the South right now, and a good way of understanding what the true essence of meditation would be is not an app, not a method, not a book to read, not a count of breaths to achieve, or nothing like that. It's like what you see when you drive down a sleepy country road here in Memphis, in the outskirts of the town. And you might see like an 85-year-old grandma, grandpa sitting on a porch. And what are they doing? They're just aware, eyes open wide. They're happy and smiling and just listening and being observant of the environment. Just in the groove. That's meditation. Not worried, not in a rush to go anywhere, knowing that the moment is so awesome and perfect as it is, and just giving yourself even just 10 minutes just to listen to the environment as close as you can. It's the simplest way of allowing yourself to slip into that groove. At first, you don't want to slip into it, but the act of trying, that's all that matters. Keep it up, let's say, just like 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row, and you start feeling what it should feel like. Yeah. And then from there, people discover it for themselves. It's the simplest thing, and it's the most awesome thing you can do to set up an awesome day.
Yeah.
Root yourself daily when you do that.
Yeah, becoming present is something that I try and get all my clients to do. It's that minimum change, the smallest change we can make that's going to affect everything. Because as soon as you're present and you're aware of the decisions you're making, and you're aware of what could go wrong and how you can make your life better, that's the Archimedes lever. That's the fulcrum.
Yeah, so that's what abstracts. I'll show people how it actually has affected my life. So getting up and breathing. I told you I get up and walk. Now I'm hitting about an hour quick walk every day minimum while listening to something. Just organize my thoughts. If you give yourself like an hour-long walk, you think of all the thoughts you can string together during that time. But you can't really string together in an environment that might be distracting. So breathe, walk, and settle your mind and get still and allow that conditions to set in. And people think, well, man, I still got work to do and all. And there's still stuff I want to do. Like, okay, well, there's a real benefit to that. When the conditions are calm, it might say let you get the results you want in the gym. Like, I used my own weight loss recently as an example from, let's say, November to December to now, I've lost like 30 pounds or something nuts.
Jeez.
And by doing almost nothing, just walking and training not really hard, just lifting and walking and not really hitting any hard cardio because I think that's kind of brutal. I just do one set of heavy sleds a week or whatever. But I tell people, because they ask me, how you doing it? What's the diet plan? What's the workout plan? What is the method? And I go, well, that doesn't really matter because I'm happier and healthier and I have an enhanced focus because I've been devoting myself to the breathing and the walking and the rooting activities in the morning. And guess what? If you do that, you make better decisions all over the place, like more reasonable decisions. Like, I am aware that I'm eating way too much fat. That's one thing I was doing was like, yeah, it's a good thing. And yeah, I was doing paleo stuff. I was eating like giant handfuls of like cashew nuts when I was nervous and distracted with work.
Okay.
I didn't notice because I was nervous and distracted with work. And then as you slow down, you notice things like, oh, well, my nutrition plan's fine, but I didn't notice how much I was eating because I was frazzled.
Yeah.
So just slowing down and making time for yourself allows you to see that times a million things. In your relationship, you see where, I could just maybe do this better. In training, well, this seems unnecessary. I don't have to work this hard. Am I really doing what's most important? Am I starting with the key log principle that allow me to get the biggest bang for my buck? You start asking more questions. And then with nutrition, you start going, I've been abiding by this plan. I've been worrying about it. I've been putting pressure on myself. Is that necessary? Do I really need to worry so much about not eating gluten? Do I even have a problem? Like, am I worried too much about this? If you just start asking these questions, you start kind of de-stressing and simplifying it, to your point, the process, making it elegant, making it simple. You think of how you feel first. You think of what's intuitive, obvious to you. You can better assess what has worked in the past because you're not running away from your past so quick towards something new.
Yeah.
You can slow down and think about, what has really worked? What just doesn't work for me? What, based on my history of knowing which things work for other people, what correlates with me? What is it that I really need? You start going down these paths, and that's what you really need to develop yourself.
Okay, nice.
So you start kind of owning the wisdom and putting it into practice and making it part of yourself and part of your daily practice, and it kind of becomes part of your story, and that's when you embody it. That's when people start noticing. That's when you start really affecting other people too.
Excellent. You mentioned there when you go for a walk, you said you listen to something. Is that an audiobook or a podcast or music?
I've kind of, music's been interesting lately because I've been noticing very carefully and paying close attention about my mood and how I'll choose music or how I'll hear music and how that affect my mood. So I'm being very careful for the first time in my life about not going to music too much.
It's interesting.
It's kind of a way to distract yourself from what is happening. And I love music, but sometimes you want to be distracted from what's happening, but not always. So I usually do music on the walk because that's a little distraction. And for a while I was doing nothing, which I still like. So I'm just quiet and perceive what's going on around you and breathe while you do that. But recently I'm hitting it kind of hard on the, not podcasts because I've kind of gotten tired of them.
Yeah.
But I'm going after some long form, like I'm listening to 10 hours right now from this he's a spiritual teacher guy, but not like a typical guru type guy, just a very clear-headed, it's like a retreat. He walked people through 7 days of how to manage your fears, how to think from a different mindset of not being conditioned too much by what people have told you to do, what society has laid on you, what your personal history has dictated what you do, that kind of stuff. So I pretty much like to get in those waters every day for a couple hours.
Okay.
Also doing that in preparation later here because I really want to do a good job of not only I told you about what I want something fun, but what I want that's because people, even if you're getting stronger sometimes, even if you're learning a lot, making a lot of progress in the gym, sometimes you still feel weak or frustrated or not fulfilled in the gym. I want to offer something that makes people stronger, that makes them feel stronger, that makes them more able to help other people get stronger. So I'm kind of heavily prepping during those walks for that task, I guess I'd say.
Nice, I like that. I did lose half of that, so what I'm going to have to do now, Chris, is remove my video.
I can repeat.
Yeah, okay, if you want to repeat, that's great.
Whatever you need.
Okay, yeah, if you want to go again, that'd help.
Yeah, so I was saying, on my walk, I really don't like to do music anymore because I find that music can kind of dictate your mood.
Yeah.
Like you'll pick a song to kind of confirm how you feel, which is not a very healthy thing. Like if you're angry, you pick a song that makes you more angry, then you get more angry, and that's not going to help you see what you should be doing.
Absolutely.
You pick something that's really low tempo and can lower your mood. You got to be careful with music. There's time for music because it can force a vibe and help you draw out an emotion, like at a party or something, or set the mood ahead of dinner or something like that. But if you're trying to think about what's most important to you, or you're trying to get some work done, you got to be mindful of how it affects you. Oftentimes, it's like nothing at all. Never podcasts in the last couple of months because I'm kind of tired of the format. I don't find too many of them all that super vibe. I'm kind of leaning more towards longer form, like 10-hour chunks of audio, cut up an hour long, immersive, long, deep conversation type stuff. Right now, I'm leaning more on not like religious, spiritual teacher type stuff, but more like effective. This teacher, Adi Ashanti guy, is actually a guy. He kind of speaks a lot on managing fear, awakening from conditioned behaviors, and seeing your life for what it is. Not worrying too much about your past mistakes, past histories, burdens of expectations and whatnot. I'm kind of digesting a lot of that right now and letting it influence what I want to do in my own speaking.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what you see in the gym, people get stronger, people learn a lot, people achieve a lot, the best athletes, the best coaches, but what you still see is a lot of fear, a lot of worry, a lot of dread.
Sorry to interrupt, Chris. Can you turn your video off so we can because at the moment you're completely pausing. Okay, that seems a lot better.
All right, so sorry if that once again didn't work, but before I can go to another question if it once again drifted off.
Okay, let's actually, I've noticed as well with the podcast, if you get, I've been listening far too much to podcasts recently, and they've been almost just kind of going in one ear and out the other. They've just it's very easy to switch off, especially when you're used to that format. So keeping it new and fresh to you, I think, is really important. Same with music; it can be a really good resource to use, but at the same time, you got to temper it because otherwise you won't get the full effect from it.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with it, and also with ruts. Like, are you listening to the same kind of thing over and over again, or are you actually in the process of discovering, looking for inspiring sounds and rhythms and new kind of things? Because then it becomes that seems like it's not too related to becoming a better coach, let's say. Yeah. But in this world, what I've found is anything that inspires you in any way. Like, everything is kind of connected. So anything that makes you feel good and inspires can help you coach better, right? So if you find new music, it makes you feel happy and inspired, you're going to think of a good wad. Yeah. So that's a good way of using it. But if you tend to be moody and you had a bad day and you go home and you put on a moody tune, and now you're a moody person at home, then it's influencing your behavior. And what's worse, you might not even notice how that is. Oh, yeah. Or you see it in the gym, the classic thing is if people put on something too hard, too heavy, and now they're getting angry for no reason. Well, how can you be present, grateful for your training partners, focus on your WOD? How can you visualize? How can you be fully engaged on something like a heavy snatch if you were also banging your head against the wall? You might be doing that in real life, like I used to do with powerlifting. A lot of bloody noses for real because I was just dumb and young and full of passion. Or you can do it in your head when you're trying to just get so motivated to do it when you really don't need to be doing that.
Exactly. Sorry, just completely, as you paused then, can we go to what you consider your biggest failure and what you learned from it?
Wow. Well, that's interesting things. I've had a lot of moments where I certainly have felt like I have failed a little bit.
Yeah. As has everyone.
Yeah. And in hindsight, of course, you see that they're just big pivotal lessons and big chapter marks along the road. The big one for me was probably April 2014 when I had left a corporate venture in order to dive headfirst into my dream of being a professional podcaster, writer guy. That was a big, scary thing. And I guess I wasn't so much, it's scary to go heavy into a new thing, but I also had the weight and the expectations and 10 years of work piled up in this one path. And to let it all go was so scary. And I had a lot of doubt, if I do this, what does it mean? Because certainly people look at you like you're crazy or that you failed, that you're going to give up such a sure thing. What are you doing? This is a big, silly thing to do. Yeah. But I did it anyway, pushed through, and that led to the thing I thought I needed to do, which was venture into podcasting, not knowing too far where that would go. And at this point in the game, like I said, I told you I'd moved from California now back to Memphis. So what has that meant for me? Well, I evolved through 2 years of being podcaster person, this, that, and the other. I had grown to the point where I felt like I'd said all I could say, and maybe felt a little bit still like maybe a little bit disappointed by the experience. Like, well, you never can quite get where you thought you might get with the thing. And there's all this stuff I still thought in myself that I could say, but I was getting kind of frustrated that, like, I'm having trouble saying it just talking about workouts and how to snatch better and work out better. There's other things, like maybe Walt Whitman would say, there are multitudes within me that I haven't quite scratched at. So I kind of felt like I was boxed in, maybe a little bit like I was failing a little bit. And even through my own podcast, I kind of was like getting tired of that because I'm like, well, I don't know why I'm doing this anymore. That's why I've kind of not done so much of the Bar by Buddha podcast always. When I feel like I should say something, I say it. But I'm kind of like, why should I keep doing this? I kind of felt roadblocks, and I kind of felt like I'd done what I could do with it, and that kind of can feel like a failure. And then this recently I've taken on the next step of what do I feel like I need to do when I feel like I've kind of hit the end of something and that it's over or whatever. I need to spark something. I need a new, refresh moment. I went back to the scary times of 2014. I think about what fears I have now, and that is detaching from an old life. Like I said, I moved out of California, and my wife and I and our kids, we had just recently given up pretty much 99% of our possessions. We're back in Memphis in a rented Airbnb house, and now we're about to venture across the seas and live in Amsterdam for 3 months as I take on this new phase. And this is a new scary jump. It's scarier and bigger than the last one. But pretty much in this life, you have to realize there's only one thing. There's the little bastard in your head that's tickling at you, saying there's something that you can do. And yes, this feels like an end, but of course it's not. And I'm going to pull and draw you forward. And the catch of this is that you can't see what's forward. You just know there's something you got to do. And for me, it was getting in my Jeep, driving back here, and it was trusting that, in this case now, getting on the road, the next big challenge for me, the next big way of engaging people, the thing I knew all along I could do, and I think now that I'm just not ready to do. And I think ultimately it's the only thing that matters for me now is just getting in front of people, like I said, seeing that they got a problem and sharing my experience, and then together walking them out of that problem. So anytime I felt fear, I've kind of recognized that it was kind of just maybe a little bit of an illusion and a call to jump and level up, you know?
Yeah. Like, I think this the growth thing that you're looking at, like, you said the next step is a big leap, but it's always going to be a bigger leap, I think.
Yeah, and of course, leaps, you know, and did you watch Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade? I'm going to pull a random pop reference out for you. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, there's that scene where he takes the leap of faith in the end, and you can't see where he's leaping, but he has to take the big leap. Yeah. And of course, in practice, the big leap was simple, and there's like actually just a real thing there. It wasn't so bad in practice. It's kind of how it works in life. Like, fear looks really big and scary. Dragons are sharp-toothed and neon from a distance. When you get close, things are more manageable. You just take steps daily. Like I said, your big fear might be, I can never be a coach that's well known. And sure, if you're just beginning, that's a scary prospect. But the daily effort draws you closer and closer to the big scary thing until you see it's actually a small manageable thing. And people usually just run away from big challenges because they see it from a distance and they just assume up front that it's as scary as it looks. So test and scratch and you find that's not so true.
Exactly. What prompted you to get rid of, as you said, 99% of your possessions?
In a very silly way. So one of the books I'm looking at here on my desk, now it's my makeshift desk at the coffee shop, is The Essential Gandhi, an anthology of his writings, his life, work, and ideas. And I know it's a little bit cheesy, but I figured who could be a good mentor? I was thinking about that last Christmas season, and Gandhi came up. It's like, wow, here's a guy who was a very bad lawyer to begin with. And of course, most people know his story through vigorous daily experiment and how he lived his life, and through cutting away of unessential things and seeking simplicity and seeking quality and good in his life, doing what he knew was right, which was acting out of love to link people up and help them resolve their disputes with nonviolence, and actually being pretty forceful and aggressive and awesome at that. It's a very forceful, action-based practice he developed. And of course, he started off his journey also as a very well-off, meat-eating, rich, lots of hats, lots of clothes, lots of suits, lawyer guy. And as you know of Gandhi, he ended his career being very, very much a guy who lived in a hut and was super happy, worked 15 hours a day and never took a day off, accumulated nothing. And when asked if he could summarize his life and how he was so monumentally effective he made such massive contributions in economics and health and healthcare and sociology in India across the lives of 400 million people. It's the most massive contribution any one person's made structurally to a society. I guess you can't really argue that anybody's done better than that. How did he do it? Somebody said you could summarize it. Somebody asked him, how do you summarize your life? And he said, I can do it in 3 words. He said, renounce and enjoy. Let go of what you think you need and realize that how much time and effort you're wasting on accumulating stuff, on going after things that aren't really important to you. If you slowly put it to the test and let go of things, see for yourself. So I kind of took that practice and put it into my life quite literally by it started off by just going simpler, kind of like in the Steve Jobs kind of way, like simple computers, less clothes, less stuff in my house, and now it's kind of grown into, okay, everything feels good, so let's test it more, and now let's get rid of all this furniture, let's get rid of this big house, let's live on the road out of backpacks for a year, let's see how that goes. So it's kind of an extreme sweet, but what I'm finding is that's true. If you let go a little bit, it's scary. No one wants to necessarily take that on up front, but if you do that, you feel a lot lighter, and now you feel like there's all this extra energy and time and resource and oomph that you can put into what you really want to do. Yeah. So hopefully in the next year I can have more stories, and now start my podcast again. Of course, I'm going to do that. I'm getting to that later, but hopefully share the results of all this on the road and in some new writings and in some new podcasts here very soon. Just keep the experiment going.
Absolutely.
What have you catching me right in the middle of it, man? It's kind of wild.
Yeah, I'm really interested by the idea of, like, I would call it minimalism, but getting rid of all your possessions. I would say it's actually more like a renunciation. The things you really think you need, you really should just reject. And you don't have to be austere monk guy with just a robe on, but do you need a house that has 5 bedrooms in it and shit? Like, do you need 2 cars? Like, in America, that's a problem. Do you need even separate rooms? Like, one thing I'm doing now with my family, we just live in one big loft space now. It's like the happiest I've been in a long time. We've just totally reduced, because we have less space, there's less to clean, there's less trash being made, there's less separation between us during our day. I mean, if you start removing some things you assume you need, all of a sudden you start discovering shit. And it's really right now thrilling for us. Yeah. I'm really happy about it. And what taking away has given you as well, obviously that's going to give you more interaction with your family. That's the interesting thing.
That's what you start seeing, and you start going, wow, this stuff works. This stuff really works. And it works the same when you're training, too. That's one thing I've been working a lot with Julian Pinot from StrongFit. We're going to be on the road together doing some stuff. I'm going to support him on his tour. We'll be having some fun. But he's very much a principle-driven person. It's like, if you can find the one thing, and if you do that, it will remove the key log, the barrier, the thing that's blocking the flow of your vitality, of your strength, then you don't have to do much at all in order to get a huge, bountiful response. So that's something he's going to talk about on the road, is the idea of hormesis. When the conditions are ripe and the right stimulus gets put down, then you get a huge response and a huge effect. That's something he's seen right now in high-level athletes, is where people who are, let's say, squeezed too hard. The typical people squeeze themselves really hard to get better. Like, to get stronger, what do? They pile the weight on the barbell, and they have strict requirements for recovery and sleep, and they're rolling out and dishing out pain, and they're trying to be very strict socially, and they're making hard food choices. No gluten for me. Like, it's a squeeze, it's a stress, and you have the typical way of looking at stress in training is that you got to carefully manage that, foster recovery, and then get all you can squeeze out of this one specific variable, right? And that might be getting a big squat, that might be Fran time or whatever. Well, that's a model that we have to tear away, because it destroys people. Like, it's the reason why athletes are done and broken and elderly, for all effective purposes, burned out by 30, 40 years old. And that's not great. That's not awesome. And I realized quickly that the path I got on, or the path I got off, I used to train intuitively, kind of like Julian does now, just natural objects and strongman stuff, barbells, but always for fun. And the traditional path is to cruise down this specialized route and to learn all these programs and to compare programs against programs, try to learn more, try to figure out more shit you could do to stimulate athletes. So just all the traditional stuff. And I realized, wow, what's cool is that could be wrong, and what's right could be where I was to start, which is, how effective is it to carry a 200-pound sandbag from here to 100 meters away? How effective is it to squat at 10 times, drag a sled? How effective is it to spend more time doing quadrupedal movement and less time doing silly agility exercise that you're not going to do in any kind of practical environment? We could go on and on with this line of inquiry, but it's a return to fundamentals and return to the fact that you could spend 20 minutes doing some basic opening exercises, pull a sled and lift a sandbag. Be done like in 30 minutes. And wow, that could make you stronger than a 3-hour barbell workout. Wow, we're getting somewhere. So, challenging some assumptions and some beliefs, and that's one thing I think everybody should make a habit of all the time. And like I said, the more you give up, the more you focus, the more you slow down, the more you get still, the more you see opportunities for testing and growing your experience. So, can't recommend that path enough to people.
No, you hit the nail on the head there. It's like, and what you're generating there is applicable as well to general life, not just having a barbell in your hands.
Yeah, and the barbell can grind you. And there's a reason for that. Yeah. It's not so natural. It's not actually. I was funny. I've referred to it as a highly evolved strength development tool. And it's a tool, but any tool that is a tool by nature is specific and it's for a job. And anytime you give too much attention and focus to the tool, you're kind of losing the point. You're losing the script, like the main storyline. You're losing what will actually make you strong and empowered across your whole life. So you're going to hear a lot more about this stuff soon.
I'm looking forward to that.
Write a lot about it. Of course, we're going to talk a lot about it. If you're I'll plug him real quick. If you're in Germany or UK, France, Spain, and from between August and October, get ready to see a cool show. If you're around there, come out.
Awesome. I'll be there. I'll definitely be there. So
to go, seeing you live too, man. For the meeting.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'll buy you a pint at the same time. So
awesome.
Oh yeah. So to go to the opposite of, or kind of a different end to the failure question, who in your mind is the first person that springs to mind when you think of success, and why?
A couple of heroes I always bring to mind. Because they've been influential for me for many, many years, and the one that's been most influential for a long time, just because of his simplistic approach, and because he was nothing special, and because he always made a point to say that, and he made a point of just showing how much consistency, effort, and action were worth. I'd say that was probably Henry Rollins set the biggest pace for me, tone for me. Because like I said, I keep his posters up. I had them up in my garage in my office for years and years, only because it was a reminder that, hey, I know for a fact this guy was very normal, very average. Not smart in school, not popular, not muscular, not overly intelligent and all this stuff. Not overly musically gifted either, but what was he? He was a guy who could recognize an opportunity, saw a chance to get on a stage, went for it, said what was in his heart, cultivated the passion, kept doing it, went for it on the stage in music, started doing it also in just saying his opinion without music, just doing spoken word. Started taking that and putting it into print. Said, well, this is cool. People seem to like it. Let me make books out of this. And he started his own business. So he quickly became a very practical, inspirational model for how I thought I could have inspiration for using my voice. Like in Progress, that first book I wrote, I put a little dedication to Henry up front and a picture with me and him, because that picture is at a time when I didn't have the confidence to speak so much. And I put it in there as a reminder that, hey, man, the action of doing it and the belief that you can keep doing it and get better at it, and knowing that if you just don't stop, you'll find some reward. That was super powerful in my life. I know people put it to a test. So the same thing, and people will do that. Man, what could happen? So he was just always on my board as a reminder that, yeah, you don't feel smart. Yeah, you don't feel particularly talented. So what? So if you keep doing it, you change your path. So I've lived that, and it's proven to be true. You just keep doing it. The shit keeps unfolding. So Henry was big. Another big hero has always been Anthony Bourdain for me. Only because he was a model for how to communicate. Because why did he get so popular in the food culture scene? It's because he was a guy who was a normal guy who wrote an honest book, who exposed vulnerabilities in the back scene and what the average day cook and chef have to really deal with. And people who resonate with that latched onto him and heralded him as like some kind of hero. I go, wow, if you're honest and you share your experience and you just are very transparent and vulnerable with it and just lay it out there, and you're funny when you need to be funny, and you show your hurt when you need to show your hurt, you can do powerful things to connect with people. And then also you can take that and port that to video. So pretty soon in 2006, I started saying, oh man, like if I could do what he does with strength and conditioning, show what I love about strength and conditioning, because I know people love strength and I know they want to get stronger and all. But also if like I could sneak a message in, because I know they'll hang on for the message if they get the strength message. So if I could show something about culture or how to improve themselves, something about how to educate yourself better, but give them how behind a strength message, that would be cool. So that's something that we worked from day one with Barbell Shrugged on. Like, how do you take complicated sports sciencey stuff, which was our world, and how do you get it in people's heads? How do you make it intuitive to them? How do you make it clear to them and not confusing? Because all this shit's usually confusing. And how do you get that into video format? How do you evolve it into what that full depth show became, which is like a way of like having people see how getting stronger matters here and in space, and how once they follow me there, how they see how what they know of strength, what they know of how they're preparing to be strong in space, how that influences them back home, and how the thought process of those guys can make you and your life be so much more effective, and how you'll be so much more aware. It's like these are how I've directly taken the work of my heroes, and I've just stood right on their shoulders as hard as I could and say thank you as loud and as often as I could, and just put what I saw work for them in the practice for myself, and it seemed to have saved me a lot of time. It's like I don't have to be 60 years old and have a show on CNN like Bourdain does. Maybe I'm 35. Maybe by the time I'm 40, I can get there a little quicker. And maybe if somebody sees me do it, they'll have a model for taking it and involving it and doing a show that they think will be cool. And they'll reach the next wave, and they'll do it a lot faster and better than me. So I'm just trying to have that happen for somebody else. That will be the dream of my lifetime, I'd say.
That's amazing. And I think that's an awesome place to end it up. Is there any way? Yeah. Like, honestly, I could speak to you for hours. I think you're a fascinating bloke, and yeah. So, is there any way people can find out more about what you want to be doing, or anyway, like more about you? Obviously, Barbell Shrugged, that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah. For now, I guess the best way to get in touch with me is if you just go on social. So I guess I'm most active on Instagram, because that's the one I don't hate. If you tag me, I'll answer there. On Twitter or Facebook, and I'm pretty active on social. I check at least one. Okay. And I will say I'm there on my social at Bill Buddha. You'll see a live announcement. So I'm going to relaunch the new website. I think we're going to really enjoy it. Of course, we'll see an opportunity to come out and see a live version of these books and this podcast live from Sherman. So a very cool thing. I'll give you a little tease. You want a tease, Tom?
Yeah.
So, so I got one gig. I'm going to come to London in September and do this. This is going to be the first go. So you can imagine the gym being made cozy. We're going to sit around in close quarters. It'll be about 50 people, probably no more than 50 people. Yeah. We're going to get in front of a chalkboard, and we're going to talk about some very intuitive, principle-driven wisdom ideas. Take what typically confuses people and frustrates them about strength and conditioning, and removes those barriers so that they get a much more easy, flowing, effective result in the training. And of course, like I've suggested, I'm only using that to draw you in. And what I'm going to also do is lead people through a story that helps them deal with their own fears, doubts, insecurities, stresses. When they leave there, I want them to be stronger, not just with barbells, but all across their life. And I want to set them on a different path, and we're going to do it in a way that is fun. I'm going to make a show out of it. We'll have a little audio video. We'll have a long, extensive Q&A after, and I think it'll be worth people's time. So you'll hear more about that very soon.
Well,
so stop all that.
Sign me up. I'm there.
Yeah. So come on out. I'll be there in September.
Sweet. It's going in the diary. The whole of September's booked out for that.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and I hope we are able to piece together all the audio for people at home. Like, we had the Wi-Fi problems.
Yeah, I think I'll be able to do some editing magic, I think, and stitch it together so it's not
so all together,
seamless.
Tom. I'm sure you're very talented.
It's more luck. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Mindset RX podcast. Very soon, I'll be back with both solo episodes and new interviews. But if you enjoyed the show, please do me a favor and do the whole of the functional fitness community a favor and head over to iTunes or wherever you listen to this podcast and leave a 5-star review and some nice words too. You can find out more information about Mindset RX, our coaching, and the programs that we offer, as well as some more information about mindset in general at mindsetrx.com. So mindset Romeo X-ray Delta.com, Or alternatively, and probably preferably for you guys, you can head to Facebook and search for Mindset for Functional Athletes. And in there, you'll find a free group, or by doing so, you'll find a free group where you can keep up to date with all the best mindset advice for functional athletes. So I'll speak to you very soon.